Hi guys, the Metal Maniac back again, and welcome to another music collection update. I have a lot to show you guys, so I'm just going to get straight into it. Alright, so first up is an original 1980 US edition of the album I'm a Rebel by Accept. Now, I have something to say about this. I'm a Rebel has like so many different versions of it. So it's kind of confusing to track down certain versions you're looking for. In fact, I was, pretty much looking for the version that I guess came after, which it's similar artwork, but the sword is just a lot more detailed and realistic. But I stumbled across this version, which apparently predates that version and is an OG copy, an original. I guess first edition press of this album. First edition press of the US version, I guess. But yeah. And you can see the band members on the back. But yeah, really, really cool. Very underrated album. Alright. Next up is Screams in the Night by Hellion. This is their first full-length album, not their debut release. Their debut release was the self-titled EP, but this is their first full-length album. Also, totally different lineup, by the way. I don't know exactly what happened, but apparently the band broke up, but then reformed, and the only original member was Anne Boleyn. But yeah. Just like with almost all Hellion releases except for the most recent release, yeah, very difficult to get one of these because for some reason most of Hellion's discography is like super hard to find. I don't think maybe there just wasn't re-releases of the early stuff. I don't know. But yeah, I've been looking for this for a while, but unfortunately I haven't been able to get it till now because, of course, like I said, super hard to find. And apparently this is a promo copy, as you can see the little puncture mark there, which I never understood. I don't understand why companies need to feel the need to damage a product just to show that it's a promo copy. Like, they could have, easily, like, write something on it, saying promo copy, or, have a little piece of paper or a certificate or something saying it's a promo copy, but, yeah, this is my only gripe, is that, even though I was happy that I got this finally, I'm still kind of pissed off that, because it's a promo copy, they decided to, punch a hole through the damn thing. But, yeah, just overall happy to get, this, but, yeah. Alright. Let's see. Alright, next up is the I think debut album. I don't know, maybe it's their second album, I'm not entirely sure. But this is the album Barbarians by the band Maniac Butcher. Very kind of obscure black metal band. It's interesting because I think I've heard of these guys before, but I don't remember from where. But yeah, this is, I believe, their first album, or their second, one of the two. But yeah. Oh, wait, hold on. Sorry. The camera was messing up for a second, I had to fix it. Anyway. So, let's see. Alright, next up is the album Unholy Alliance by Lethal Presence. Very, very underrated band. Unfortunately, they didn't last too long. I believe they were founded in 84, 85, and then they broke up in 88. And they didn't release any full-length albums. They released a couple of demos, though. This is a compilation of all the demos. And they did appear on the legendary thrash metal split Raging Death, which also other bands included Obituary before Obituary, and Atheist before Atheist, which, Obituary was originally called, I believe, Executioner, and Atheist was originally called Ravage. But yeah, this is one of those bands that was on that Raging Death split. Unfortunately, this is one of the two bands that didn't really make it big and kind of quit. But yeah, just a really cool, underrated band. Alright, next up is an album by a more recent band. This band I just recently discovered. It's a thrash metal, speed metal band called Vulture. And the album has a pretty cool name. Ghastly Waves and Battered Graves. And then you can see the band members in the back. I also like, they have t-shirts of some of my favorite bands. Overkill, Bathory, Iron Maiden, Exciter. But yeah. Also, this also looks pretty cool. It looks like a poster for an 80s slasher movie. Alright. Next up is a split. So, this is a split of two very awesome Brazilian thrash metal, Brazilian metal bands. Of course, this side contains the EP by the band Sepultura, Bestial Devastation, which is probably their most underrated release besides Morbid Visions. Everyone talks about the stuff after Morbid Visions, but in terms of their early stuff, this and then Morbid Visions, people just kind of ignore those two releases for some bizarre reason. But yeah, Bestial Devastation, another one that was kind of hard to find. But yeah, this is, like I said, it's a split. So you have Bestial Devastation, this EP, but this is actually side 2. Side 1 contains the EP by the band Overdose. I don't know how to pronounce it, considering that the EP is in Spanish, and the actual lyrics are in Spanish too. So yeah, I don't know how to pronounce the title here, but this is their debut EP, I believe. Very, very cool. But yeah. Alright, Alright, next up is Ram It Down by Judas Priest. Now, I already had their album on CD, but it took me a while to get around to get the vinyl version, just because, for whatever reason, a lot of the stores that I went to, for some reason, didn't have this one. Both record stores that I usually go to almost always have, their a couple of their 70s albums and whatever, and even the later Judas Priest stuff. But for whatever reason, only once in a while, will I come across the vinyl version of this. Now, I could have easily just got it online, but I just kind of forgot about it for a little bit until I recently went to another store and they happened to have it. But yeah, very underrated Judas Priest album, one of my favorites. And yes, I know people complain about the Johnny B. Good cover, but I actually really, really like it. Yeah. Alright, next up is Priest Live. A very good live album, yeah, just like with Ram It Down, this is another one that was super hard to find. Now, like I said, it's not hard to find if you're looking online, but for whatever reason, every time I went to, a record store or whatever, just kind of didn't have this one. But, yeah, finally have it. Yeah, honestly, out of their live albums, this is another one that, kind of, it's not necessarily super underrated or forgotten about, but it is one that most of the time when talking about Judas Priest live albums kind of gets, doesn't really get a mention for some reason. But, I mean, maybe it's because it's the Turbo Tour. A lot of people don't like Turbo. I love Turbo, so maybe that's why. But, yeah, really cool live album. Alright. Let's see. Next up is the soundtrack to Bram Stoker's Dracula. This I've been wanting for a long time. I haven't really gotten around to it, but yeah, I just finally got this in my collection. Also, this version is the complete version. For some reason, the very first version that was released of the soundtrack to Bram Stoker's Dracula did not have the complete listing, did not have every single score from that movie for whatever reason. Later on, it was re-released, and I believe it had some more stuff, but still not the complete version. And then recently, before this version came out, there was a version that had every single track on there, but that was CD. There wasn't a vinyl version that did. And then, later on, they released this version, which has the complete track listing. So yeah, really cool. Alright, and then next up is the soundtrack to my favorite movie of all time, King Kong. Believe it or not, for whatever reason, the King Kong soundtrack, at least for the original movie, is super hard to find. So I kind of did some digging on the internet, and apparently, for whatever reason, the soundtrack to the original King Kong hasn't had a re-release since 1999. For whatever reason, like 1999 and prior, this soundtrack had been released thousands upon thousands of times. It's been re-released and re-released and re-released. But for whatever reason, when the 2000s rolled around, this soundtrack had just stopped being re-released. And I'm not saying like one company or whatever. This soundtrack has been re-released by multiple different companies over the years. But for whatever reason, after 1999, just hasn't been re-released. I don't know. So because of that, it was super hard to find, especially on vinyl. But yeah, really happy to finally have this. Alright, the last one. The last one is very interesting, and that is the soundtrack to one of my favorite TV shows of all time, super underrated, and that's Freddys Nightmares. Now, this TV show is so elusive, super hard to find. Like, it hasn't been re-released in decades. Like, I think the show was only ever re-released maybe once. But other than, like, that one time, the only way you could really find the series is by individual episodes on VHS tapes. And even if you get those, they're extremely expensive. Like, I saw the complete collection of VHS tapes on eBay go for, like, $400, $500 or more. So yeah, it'll probably be a while before I'm able to get the complete series, but as for now, I'm good. I'm good with the soundtrack to the show. But yeah, very cool soundtrack. I don't know. I might do a review of this. I might not. I don't usually do a review of soundtracks to movies or TV shows, but this might be a rare case where I do, considering that it's just so good and very unique sounding. Yeah. So that's it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you all next time.